Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Real Women, Real Talk. I am Trenace Richardson, the founder of Real Women, and I am joined by my lovely fly, love her hairdo co-host. Who are
Yeah.
you, ma'am?
I am the amazing Shavon Carter, facilitator with Real Women.
Yes, you are stepping in here all brand new and stuff. I see you. You look cute.
Hey, yeah.
Welcome, y'all, to Real Women, Real Talk. We are ready for a real, honest dialogue about topics that matter to women. And we're going to tell you a whole lot about who we are as real women in later on in the episode. But for now, we want to jump right in because we have so much to talk about in this episode. So we start our segment off with real talk, and I'm checking in with you, sister. How you doing? Real talk.
So I am doing good. I had an eventful uh, week, I would say, since last week. So I am just getting back from Jacksonville yesterday,
Mhm.
where I'm from, Florida.
Mhm.
And I was supposed to come back on Sunday,
Hmm.
but Hurricane Debbie said, "No, ma'am, you're gonna stay right there." So
Wow.
I was
Wow.
stuck in Florida for 2 days, but thankfully I was with my family, so that was great. I went to celebrate the homegoing of my uncle who passed
Mm.
away a couple of weeks ago, but it was a great service, and I really enjoyed being there with my mom and just having some extended time with her. So yeah, so that's how I'm doing. Just kind of getting back into the swing of things, with my schedule being off a little bit, but it was great.
Thank you for sharing that. So, a couple of follow ups. So, one, we're going to talk about this later. I don't watch the news like that. So,
Hmm.
I just heard about Hurricane Debbie because it's going to affect us now here.
Yes.
So, I
Uh-huh.
didn't know that she was a few days old and had been affected stuff in Florida. I didn't even know how old she
Yes.
was.
Yes.
So I'm sorry
Yeah.
to hear that that's what delayed you, but I did know you
Mhm.
had gone there and you were supposed to read a poem. Did that go well?
Yeah, it went really well. So,
Good.
I was honored to be asked by my uncle's wife, my aunt, to read a poem at the funeral, and so I did that, and yeah, it was really great. So I
Good.
enjoyed participating in the service and just honoring my uncle, who was a really
Good.
great man.
Good, 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 good.
Yeah,
Yeah, been thinking about you and praying for you.
thank you.
Okay,
How
well,
you doing?
ciao, ciao, ciao. So, um, this has been a busy week. Since I got back from vacation, I spent, this is now August by the time we are putting this episode up. And I've spent almost all summer just outside, just been outside. And I've been loving it. So I had to get real about my schedule and my to-dos lately and just been settling in and getting things done. So I had to sat down, and in my satting down, it's got me that kind of busy again. But I have been intentional about taking breaks during my lunch and just walking away from work and getting a little mindless scrolling or something in just to make sure that I'm taking some mental breaks from all the work that I have to do. And I've been going to bed at decent times.
Nice.
So I'm feeling good. I'm feeling good. It's just things are ramping up. We're going to talk
Yeah.
about it later, but planning for the intensive is ramping
Mhm.
up for me. And we're going to meet as a team soon and really excited about that. So, got things going on that are keeping me busier,
Mhm.
but it's not overwhelming yet. So, I'm good.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
good. So you're managing it. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. I'm managing
Mhm.
it. It is not managing me yet. So, I'm good.
Wonderful. Yeah.
Yeah. So, thank y'all so much for indulging us on our real talk. And we really do want to know how you are doing. Some of you have been giving us comments in the YouTube comments, just right under there. Just let us know how you're doing too. What real talk? What's going on with you? You've been sending us emails. Wherever you decide to do, we would absolutely love to hear from you. We also have speakpipe.com where you can actually talk to us. Go there /Real Women Real Talk. And you'll have an opportunity to be reminded of that throughout our time together during this episode. So I want to keep Real Talk going for just a minute because we're going to
Mhm.
have a little theme going through this episode. But an opening Real Talk, just a discussion starter to get us going. Keeping in mind, one, we are a nonprofit, so we're going to stay out of really speaking a whole lot about politics or, what
Mhm.
side we're on and all that kind of stuff. But
Mhm.
because we are in that season of hearing a lot about it, the vice president has chosen at this point her running mate,
Mhm.
and Joe is gone, Kamala is in. Just want to know, how tapped in are you to politics and the way things are shaping up regarding the election? Do you stay tapped in? Do you keep up with it? Or do you just kind of, pop in and pop out, depending upon what you see on social media? Where are you related to talking about or thinking about politics?
Yeah, so I am not well versed when it comes to politics, but I do listen to one podcast that informs me and helps me to understand what's going on when it comes to politics. So I stay tapped into that on a daily basis just so I can understand what's going on and to hear the news, hear different viewpoints on the candidates and other people's perspectives and just learning. So I enjoy learning in that way. And as we get closer, just reading up on the candidate. Well, I know I already know who I'm voting for, but yeah.
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
even with some of the things related to where I live, I'm just reading up more on that. So I can't say that I am a big political person, but I
Mhm.
do exercise my right to vote, and I am informed enough to make a decision for myself.
Yeah, I love that. Me too. I think if I had to describe it, I would say probably maybe even less than you, because I
Mhm.
don't have a go-to podcast or person that I check in with to see what's going on lately. It really has to pop up in my feed, or
Mhm.
somebody around me starts talking about it. And that way I hear it. I don't go to the news intentionally.
Mhm.
I let it come to me.
Yeah.
So I'm not real tapped in, but for example, when I get an update like the VP has chosen a running mate, I go look and do some research and see who is this
Mhm.
person real quick,
Mhm.
that kind of thing, just so that, like you, I'm as abreast as I choose to be, in order to be informed about who I'm voting for, and I know that already as well. And so I ask that, one, because it's just a good discussion starter, but
Mhm.
because it can be overwhelming during this season and time.
Yeah.
News comes at us in so many different ways, and it's continuous. If you allow it to, you
Mhm.
could you could be inundated with information all
Mhm.
day long, and in many different mediums. And some people in the same, and I'm going to liken it to what some people see as, the violence that you can see at any
Mhm.
given moment, whether
Yeah.
it's, the crime that's happening, or um, calamities and trauma that's happening to Black people. Like, you
Mhm.
can find that stuff and ruminate over it and watch it to the point where it causes you some anxiety mentally and emotionally and even physically.
Mhm.
Same with elections. I've heard it called election anxiety. And so,
Mhm.
where
Mhm.
you just keep trying to keep up with what's happening now, what's happening now. You can go down a rabbit hole with all of it. And I don't know a whole lot of people like that, because I think either we don't talk about politics, or I just hang around people that that's not their first
That's not right.
that's not the first thing they're gonna talk about, or
Mhm.
be focused on. And so I like that because it keeps me protected in that way. Um,
Mhm.
but I do know there are some people out there. And so I'm wondering, do you know of folks who are just stuck there and stay in it a lot?
I don't know if folks like that because I'm like you. I kind of surround myself with like-minded people. But I can
Yeah.
understand how it could be overwhelming because we're inundated, like you said, with we have all the different news channels that you can watch. You have the news reports that you can get on your phone, get the updates, and then
Mhm.
everybody has an opinion on social media. So
Yep.
there is so many things going on. And I think that's why I try to limit what I do pay attention to and watch because it can be too much. And I just don't desire to be overwhelmed in that way and have, like you said, election anxiety. I know just enough to know what I need to do as far as voting, but yeah, I don't know anybody like that. I just wouldn't because of how I'm wired and who I am, I just wouldn't be interested in a whole lot of dialogue around that. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
so I don't.
Here, here. I have what I consider other things. I won't call them
Yeah.
more important, but other things that I would rather
Hmm.
focus on.
Yeah.
And I do know that there are some people who do that. I've had to unfollow some people because
Hmm.
it's just evidently this is your season to focus
Right.
on that, and so this is not my season to follow you. Um, but I do know that there are some folks out there who can allow just information in general, but especially
Hmm.
during this election season, to overwhelm them and maybe feel like they can't help it, you know? And
Yeah.
so I found really quickly, I know that this is not our deep dive session, but I really wanted to offer this as a gift to anyone who wanted it. Just if you are wondering if you are allowing any information anxiety to overtake you, especially election anxiety.
Hmm.
If you have restlessness or constant doom scrolling, I mean, you literally,
Mm.
you want to find all the negative, bad, all the stuff that's happening
Mm.
right now. Symptoms of anxiety, anxious thoughts, obsessive rumination and panic, or physical stress triggered by conversations or reminders of the election. I'll give you an example. One of the things that I have been susceptible to, I'll be honest, is as a result of hearing some of the calamities that are happening or
Hmm.
could happen. I can spend a whole lot of time ruminating over, do I have enough stuff in my house if something were to happen again, and
Definitely.
what should I
Yeah.
get, and
Yeah.
what if something happens again to shut us down, that kind of thing.
Hmm.
So if you stay there in that
Yeah.
cycle, then that could be an
Hmm.
example of this type of anxiety, excessive
Hmm.
worry about the election results and feeling like, we are all doomed one way or the other, depending upon who
Hmm.
you voting for. You might think,
Hmm.
all is lost.
Hmm.
Inability to take time away from election focused media and avoiding political discussions at all costs. So then the flip side is you just
Hmm.
don't want to talk about it at all.
Oh.
To reduce those feelings of worry, you can't even engage in any light conversations about it.
Mm.
Those might be signs of election anxiety, or even if
Mhm.
you broaden it, information anxiety.
Mhm.
And so, because we are who we are, we just wanted to offer some ideas that you could replace that with, that you would definitely, of course, just turn it off, and tune people out, mute people,
Mhm.
make people less in there, talk about it. Meditation, belly breathing, deep breathing exercises, immersing yourself in nature, in
Mhm.
silence, being in trusted community spaces like we talked about, where it just
Yeah.
doesn't come up a whole lot. And then
Mhm.
creative stuff like journaling or painting or coloring, talking to a therapist or a trusted friend, exercise. Just wanted to offer some things: eating right, not being
Mhm.
exhausted, getting enough sleep, all helps with
Mm.
your overall health. Any thoughts about that before we jump off of it? Just wanted to offer some tools.
No. I think it's great to tackle this, especially since we are in election season, and I had never heard of election anxiety before, but I can absolutely see how it can exist, and I think these are some great coping strategies that people can use to help them work through that. So yeah, I love that.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, sister.
Mhm.
Okay. So I didn't tell y'all, but this was our Real Talk segment. didn't show it to you
Y'all
anyway.
know already. Y'all know what we
Y'all
do.
know y'all been here and you got invited by somebody if you haven't. So this is our real talk segment. So thank you for that, sister. We have 4 segments. So our second one is our deep dive. And it's our opportunity to just really just take a plunge into a topic that maybe we in Real Women have dealt with or would deal with. We really do want you to check us out at realwomenrock.org for our sister circles. We got some exciting ones coming up that we're going to tell you about. But this is a topic I believe that we've touched on in some shape or form. We probably have even touched on it during our podcast so far. But I really wanted to take a deep dive into it because as we are preparing ourselves for our intensive, which
Mm-hmm.
is entitled the Win Her Circle,
Yes.
it has focused on the Olympics, and we are just leaving that space of the Olympics. There's a whole lot of competition that has been going on related to that bronze, silver, medal,
Mm-hmm.
golds, and also connected to this election season that we're in right now up until November and beyond. This is all about competition. And so I want to talk about the difference between competition and collaboration.
Mm-hmm.
And knowing that they are two separate things, but I think we can discuss both of them in their polarized extremes and maybe get
Mm-hmm.
some pros and cons out of both, perhaps, because I believe
Mm-hmm.
there are pros
Yeah.
and cons out of them. I watched the Olympics like, oh my God, these are amazing women,
Yeah.
amazing men,
Yeah.
the discipline it took to get where they are.
Mm-hmm.
And then listening to some of their stories and their background and everything, those people are competitive. You hear me? Like
OMG.
they
Yes.
just not having it. How did you watch any of the Olympics? What were your thoughts about
So
it?
listen, while I was in Florida, since I was at home
Mhm,
with my
mhm,
mom,
mhm.
we love track and field. So that's really the only sport or competitive sport that I would watch during the Olympics time. Sometimes gymnastics, but I haven't watched this season. But track and field, that's our go-to. So we were watching the 100-meter race, both the
Mhm.
men and the women, and what is the guy that just won? Noah Lyles. Noah
Wow.
Lyles just
Yeah.
won the 100-meter, the fastest man in the world now. And the level of confidence that this man has, he
Girl.
is so sure of himself. And to see, like you said, the discipline that they have, the work ethic, and the training that is involved in running these races, like Shakari Richardson, the one or won the silver for the 100-meter race. And so I just love their confidence. I love their commitment to it, and their work shows because they are winners. So I love it.
Mhm. Let me
Hmm.
tell you. So, I'm trying to find it because I am so impressed with Noah Lyles,
Uh-huh.
and not just because. So on Netflix they have, this is the season for it, so I'm sure they're
Hmm.
showing a lot of this stuff on
Hmm.
Netflix because we're in that season. So
Yeah.
they have Simone Biles has her own special right
Hmm.
now, but there's one of track and field,
Yeah, I've been
and
watching that.
oh, you saw it too. Okay, good,
The
good, good,
first
good.
two, the first two episodes. Yep. Uh-huh.
It is so good.
It is. Yeah.
And then I saw a meme of him where he has all of these conditions, right? Asthma,
Hmm. Yep.
ADHD. I'm only
Yep.
saying it because he did dyslexia, I think.
Depression.
Yeah,
Hmm.
depression. And
Hmm.
he's like, you know what? I still can. What? And then
Hmm.
to know all that Simone Biles went through last year to get back to where
Yeah.
she is this year, it's just respect, man. Really salute
Mhm.
and respect.
I tell
But
you.
they have to have this level of confidence
Yeah.
that I got this no matter
Mhm.
what. And so I'm just really in awe of that. I
Mhm.
want to ask you, as a result of that, sister, are you
Yeah.
a competitive person?
Absolutely not. No, I do not.
That was
like
quick.
to compete with people. That gives me anxiety. I do not like the idea. Like even when I watch dating shows, you know how they have those shows when you're really basically competing to win the
Mm,
affections of a man. That gives me anxiety. There is no way. The way my emotions are set up, I do not want to have to do that when it
mm,
comes to anything. Just let me run my own race, the race of one that competing with myself. That's what I'll do. But
yeah.
I am not in the business of wanting to compete with other people. That just doesn't fuel me.
Were you always like that, like as a child, or did you?
Yes.
Okay, okay. So you
Yeah.
didn't you didn't do a whole lot of the competitive sports or games?
No, I didn't do any sports. So I was a dancer. I like to
Mm,
dance. I was on teams. I'm a
mm,
team type girl. So
mm,
on the dance team, in the band, we're working together. I
mm.
did not play any sports. That is just not my thing.
Yeah, it's so funny. Haven't done any study on this, so I
Mhm.
can't prove this in any way. It's just my perspective that it seems like people are either very much on the competitive side of things or very much on the collaborative side of things. I'm sure
Yeah.
you can have, and I'm sure on some level, all of us do have a little of both,
Hmm.
but it doesn't seem like there are people who are just smack dab in the
In the
middle. Like,
middle, right?
yeah, you're
I don't
either
think I've
very
ever met anybody in the middle.
yeah, 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 right,
Yeah.
right. So you're either like, yes, let's all do it together,
Right.
or we got this. We in all the games and stuff. And so for me, I think I have never been the most competitive person. I like
Okay.
playing games, but I
Yes.
don't really care who wins or loses. I just want to play the game. Um, I'll play along, with the whole competitive thing, but I really don't care. So I would much rather. Now, I will make a in the workplace.
Okay.
I like working alone.
Uh-huh.
I do like being my own worker and getting stuff done, worker bee, and
Uh-huh.
bringing it back to the team and
Uh-huh.
saying, how does this fit in with what you're doing?
Mhm.
But I will work with a team. But when it comes to us sitting and having to hash stuff out and work together and that kind of thing, I'm like, can I just take my piece, go
Right.
do it, come back?
Go off in the corner and come
Yes.
back.
Mhm. I promise to bring you something back.
Right. Because you gotta process and kind of think through your own thoughts. Yeah, I absolutely get that. Yeah.
Yeah. So I am collaborative to
Uh-huh.
some extent, but definitely not competitive at all. And
Wait,
so, yeah, go ahead,
you know
Shavon.
what it makes me think of? I was trying to think, am I competitive in this now that I think about it? Playing spades. I think I'm
Mhm.
more of a trash talker, but am I competitive?
See,
Yeah, I like to
I,
win. I like
I
to
think
win spades.
okay, I was gonna say I think it depends on what your ultimate goal is. Like if your
Okay.
ultimate goal is just to have fun, or if
Yeah.
your ultimate goal is to win, you're
Right.
like, oh, we need to win this game, though.
Yeah. I'm not like one of those people that's just like all rambunctious when it comes to it, but I do like a little trash talking and a little
Yeah.
friendly competition
Yeah.
in there.
That's I mean, that makes it fun to me.
Yeah.
That's you're
Yeah.
not really playing unless you like slamming a
Right?
card,
Oh, that's hilarious. Yes.
putting a spade up on your forehead.
Right,
Like,
right. Oh, that's funny. But
so yeah, I think a little everybody has a little bit of both, but we
yeah,
would love to know what y'all consider yourselves, whether you're
yeah.
competitive or more collaborative.
Mhm.
But I do want to dig into it a little bit because I want to talk about the pros and cons of it.
Yeah.
And I just tell my piece for a couple of minutes about it
Mhm.
because I can think of very clear examples in my life where had I had a more competitive spirit, I
Mhm.
believe I probably would have pushed myself just a little bit more or
Okay.
worked just a little bit harder. I'll give a couple of examples and hadn't planned on doing this, but this is real women, real
Okay.
talk.
Real
So,
talk.
so when I was on the Voices of Fire Netflix special with my mom,
Mhm.
um, you know, I knew it was some level of competition, but then once we got into it, got a better idea that it was literally find your place, earn your place onto this choir. And
Mhm.
then it was earn your place to get a solo. And it was just a constant like trying to compete. And I'm not that person. Like I really
Yeah.
don't. I'm glad to be here, glad to be a part of stuff. But then when I didn't work hard enough or, try hard enough to get a solo at the end, of course, I was like, so dang, like I wish I was up there with a solo,
Right. Yeah.
so knowing that maybe had I pushed a little harder or tried a little harder, I could have, of course, could have done it.
Mhm.
But yeah, so that's one example. And I really feel like there are times in life where of course competition can get you to the Olympics or it can get you to the top of your game,
Mhm.
that had I pushed just a little further, I would be further along in whatever that area is. That's just one
Yeah.
example.
Yeah.
Do you have any coulda, wouldas, or maybe acknowledge some cons when it comes to not being as competitive?
So I think what it made me think about was I have competed when it comes to dance, like on a dance team when we had the
Okay, okay,
competition.
okay.
Because I'm now things are coming back to my mind. So it's
Mhm.
I was in college and we were on the dance team and we went to competitions. I remember one that we went to in Atlanta, and this is probably more of a pro than a con, but it can work both ways. But the level of work that we had to put into going over the routines and preparing for the competition really equipped us to perform. Like when I
Mhm.
look at those pictures, my body, baby, I was cut up. I had muscles, I
Hey.
had abs. Like that kind of stuff is, I think, a pro from competing if you're talking about a sport because
Yeah.
your body is disciplined to compete and to do what you are setting out to do. I think the con is I think with competing, when I look at some of these athletes, they can really be hard on themselves to the
Mhm.
point of like trying to reach a level of perfection. So it can
Mhm.
cause, like we were talking about with Noah Lau, some depression or some anxiety or
Mhm.
just like the mental uh, difficulty when it comes
Mhm.
to competing. And also it can distract maybe from some other things because you're so focused on achieving this goal, then maybe you're not as focused on your family, or maybe
Mhm.
you're not as focused on some other things that you may want to do. So you have to have that laser focus, but it could come at as a sacrifice, and some things may fall by the wayside because of that. So that's just some of the cons that I can see. Yeah.
Yeah, I can see that. I'll just add to what you said. In addition to the ones that you've listed on both sides, I
Mhm.
thought about um, um, implicit competition, like just
Okay.
under the surface, like not outright like a sport or a game, or
Mhm.
in politics, you're running for an office, but implicit when we're looking at the person next to us or across from
Yeah.
us and checking out what they have versus what we have, or who they
Yeah.
are in life versus who we are.
Mhm.
I think there's some implicit competition that happens in that way. And then, we hear in life that there are so many more women than there are men in certain
Yeah.
communities. And so when it comes to dating, women are competing against each other to get a good man and all that kind of stuff. And I'm going to tell you, I'm so glad to be out of that game right now.
Let me tell you what, and I am out too. I'm out too. Even though I'm single, I'm out too. I don't want to play like that. I don't have time.
They say it is piss in the dating pool. And I'm like, I
Mm,
believe y'all because I got friends. So
mm, mm.
so there's implicit and explicit. I think there are pros and cons. It could
Yeah.
be healthy if it pushes you to do more. I love the discipline part that you raised
Yeah.
because whether it's getting better at your craft or getting
Mhm.
ripped because you're healthier,
Yes.
discipline. I say discipline is something you either practice or
Mhm.
it's a consequence that you experience,
Right.
right?
That's
So you
so
get
true. Oh my God.
disciplined.
Yes.
Yeah, you are disciplined or you get
You get
disciplined,
discipline right. That is so
right?
true.
So, so you deal with the consequences of not being disciplined. So I love just the balanced view, that the idea that there are pros and cons. I know that there are some people, before we kind of end on collaboration, I am sure that some of our listeners are sometimes told that they are too competitive, right?
Yeah.
And so, just if you have been told you're too competitive, that has not been me. I cannot say that. Evidently, me and Shavon would never be
We're
told
not
that.
there.
But do you believe if you're told you are too competitive, that that requires a shift, or are they just haters? Do we have to take each
So
instance?
I think
What?
it depends on the situation because I'm thinking
Mm,
about parents who are competitive with their children, meaning that they
mm,
want their child to win in sports and they are on the sideline just yelling and just like no, and just doing the most because they are so
mhm,
competitive and they want their children to win, or those
mhm,
mothers who are so competitive that they want their daughters to win the beauty pageant and they're just doing all of these things to get their daughters to win. So I think when it comes to stuff like that, it can be to a detriment. It's like,
mhm.
okay, calm down a little bit. But when it comes to an election, or when it comes to a race like the Olympics, I don't think there's a such thing as too competitive in that regard, because you have to believe that you can win, you have to be confident, you have to be strong, and just have a strong will and mindset. So yeah, in that regard, if you're trying to get the gold, I don't think there's anything, you know.
Yeah,
Um,
and then shoot, then we see the results, and you like it was worth it.
it
Whatever
was
y'all
worth
talking, it
it.
was worth it, y'all.
Yes.
So I agree with you, and I think at the end of the day, it matters more what you think
Yeah.
about your and like you said, some folks are too hard on themselves, and
Hmm.
so in the effort to push
Yeah.
yourselves, I would just say also find space and time to give yourself grace and
Hmm.
rest and that kind of thing to balance it, because Simone Biles gave us an example of
Mhm.
what it means to be so in your head that you can't even
Yeah.
focus at some point, and then you got to
Mhm.
step back and then
Right.
reset and come back. It's just
Absolutely.
amazing what she was able to do. So
Yeah.
we wouldn't be termed that we could be. Well, I'll put it this way: I don't know if I could be termed as too collaborative, um,
Mhm.
but because like I said, I do like working by myself, but I
Yeah.
also can work on a team. In fact, I don't really like pulling together big projects all by myself.
Mhm.
I do want input. I do want
Yeah.
feedback and support and
Mhm.
delegation and distribution of duties, just so we can say we did it instead of just me saying
Mhm.
I did it. I do like that for collaboration. Any extra thoughts about maybe pros and cons of collaboration for you?
So I collaborate, but I am not too much of a collaborator because I
Okay.
also like to be by myself. I grew up as an only child, and so I love that space of only me. But when it comes to projects, like you said, and getting things done, I do like the collective opinion because I think that we have more value that we can add when we all work together. So I think the pros are definitely you have more mindsets, you have more input, you have more information that can come together that can create something great, just amazing that one person probably wouldn't be able to do. I think one con could just be an over reliance on people and just a
Mhm,
dependency. I think
mhm.
with collaborating to the point that you're not even aware of your own desires and thoughts and
Yeah,
feelings about something, and you just have to have everybody's input because I think there's a time and a place for that.
yeah.
So I think that's where the kind of just like a codependency can form from that.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I totally agree with that. I think it was helpful for us to not just do a deep dive in both and recognize that what we suppose is that there are people that are on extremes and not a
Yeah.
whole lot of people in the middle.
Hmm.
But even to look at what could be the unhealthier side of it.
Hmm.
and all of that is literally just for you, audience member, watcher, listener, to evaluate you. It is not for anybody else to judge you. um, it is really about self-assessment, and what about me causes me to be too hard on myself? What
Yeah.
about me causes me to be too dependent on others, or and as a result of that, being able to reset in a way that works for you. I think it's just
Yeah.
we are inviting you to do some self-reflection as it relates to these two values or characteristics. I think that's what this conversation has been for. So
Mhm.
any final thoughts you have for those listening or watching about collaboration versus competition?
One thing that did came to mind when you were talking about implicit competition, it made me think about social media, how we were talking
Mm,
about in a previous episode, the comparison trap.
mm,
And comparing ourselves to people on social media, the highlight reel, and what it looks like they are experiencing in their lives, and then a sense of discouragement for some people that may uh, compel them to want to do more or try to achieve and accomplish those same things. But for other people, it can be discouraging. So it just made me think about how for some people, competing can lead to discouragement because
mm.
it can just be too much to focus on what somebody else is doing when we're not focused on what we have going on. So I just wanted to bring that up. If you are feeling discouragement, just take a look at maybe you have some implicit competition going on that's causing you to compare yourself and lose sight of what you have going on.
So good, so good. I just think about I was supposed to all of this birthday time. I was supposed to be
Yeah,
posting all of these wonderful things, and I just
yeah,
decided I don't. I just want to live and exist and be in the
yeah,
moment. I don't want to do a
hmm,
whole lot of posting.
yeah,
And you're right. You can decide. Okay, I gotta do it. I gotta post in order
hmm,
to, or I gotta look and see, or I end up seeing it and feeling some kind of way about what other people are posting. And then
yeah.
at the end of the day, walk away.
Mhm.
Walk
Yeah,
away. I
walk
love that.
away.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
So thank you for that. Thank you for that.
and
We hope that yeah,
one
please
last
jump
thing,
in.
one last thing. What do
Yeah.
you think about people who say that they're competing with themselves?
Ooh. Oh, this is so good. So, oh, and I've seen the t-shirts and everything, me versus me.
Uh-huh, yeah.
Um, I think what you said before when we started, I heard you say something like, I'm really just trying to be my best me.
Uh-huh.
Um, I'll be gracious and say I'm sure that that's what they mean. Like I'm just
Mm,
trying to see where I am today versus where I could be, or
mhm,
and strive toward that. So I'm
mhm.
sure that that's what is meant by it. Um, I just don't like competition. I'm
Yeah.
allergic to it. So I'm not gonna compete with myself either. If I don't want to compete with you, I'm definitely not going to compete with
Right,
myself.
right.
I don't know.
Yeah,
What are your
yeah.
thoughts?
I think it can be a reframe. Like you said, for me, it is more about growing and wanting to evolve and be a better version of myself. I don't feel like I'm competing with the past version of myself. Like, oh, in my 20s, I was wild and I was doing all these things. So in my 40s, I'm going to be competing with that. It's like, no, I don't see it in that way.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
just see it as I am growing, I am maturing, and just being a healthier version of me. So,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah. I'm
mhm,
evolving.
yeah,
Yeah, I think I am slowly evolving and doing away with the language that has all of the edges, the rough, sharp
yeah,
edges around it.
yeah,
The
mhm,
hustle and the grind and I'm doing
yeah,
away with a lot of those words. I don't feel like I think we talked about this in one episode. I'm
uh-huh,
not necessarily in a soft era. Like I'm
yeah,
still I'm still striving and
Mhm.
evolving and working hard and all of
Yep.
those things. And not trying to look for luxury and soft in everything, but I
Yeah.
am about ease and flow. And
Yes.
so I don't want to have to make stuff happen and
Yeah.
push so hard and pull so
Mhm.
hard. I'm
Mhm.
not there.
I'm with you.
So whatever
Yes.
that middle is, that's where
Right. That's where you are. Yes, I'm with you for
Mhm.
sure.
Yeah.
Mhm.
This was good for me. I think in Real Women, at all times, we are always pushing ourselves to think about different aspects of ourselves and
Yeah.
where we are, just analyze ourselves, being a student of who we are. And so
Mhm.
we're inviting you to do that same thing. And where are you in this spirit of competition or collaboration? Where do you fall on the spectrum? Please share with us on speakpipe.com/real women real talk. You can leave us a voicemail message there, or you can email us at info@realwomenrock.org, or put some comments below the YouTube video if you're on YouTube. We would absolutely love to hear from you.
Yes.
And these kinds of topics are covered at in Real Women. And so we have Real Women Sister Circles that are happening every month. We
Yeah.
have a virtual one. I'm going to ask Shavon later. So hang in there, y'all, to tell you about our virtual circle. Will they still have time to tune in? It'll be over by the time yeah,
No,
we
because this is gonna air the next one
the
next
week
week. Yeah.
of. Okay, good, good, good,
Uh-huh.
good. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this will be a perfect time to do that. Why don't I just release it right now? Go ahead. What we
Okay.
gonna be talking about? What we gonna be talking about?
Listen, y'all. We are going to be talking about defense mechanisms. So, the topic for our next virtual sister circle, which is happening on August 17th, is protecting myself from who? Mhm.
Mm, mm,
Yes,
mm,
we are going to dig into some of the major defense mechanisms, how they show up in our lives, what they're costing us.
mm,
If we are keeping ourselves in, keeping people out. Like, we are really going to dig into all of
mm.
that. So, I cannot wait.
Let me tell you, I spoke somewhere this past weekend,
Uh-huh.
and I did a pitch for our sister circles, and I
Okay.
told them the topic
Yeah.
for this month, and the whole room collectively, that reel where after you say something, everybody goes, mm. I said, protecting yourself from who? They was like, oh.
Oh,
I'm so looking forward.
exactly. Yes.
Yeah, so looking
Yes.
forward to that. And then if you are in
Uh-huh.
the Hampton Roads, Virginia area, we invite you to come. Just been outside all summer in Hampton Roads. And
I'm having a
so,
blast.
oh my gosh, we've been having a good time. And so, we're going to do a ferry ride. And I say we because I might be there.
You like, I'm going.
You know what I'm saying? A
Yeah.
ferry ride, and a mini restaurant crawl. I think that's gonna be so
Nice.
fun.
That's gonna
So
be
go to
fun.
realwomenrock.org and find out more. We're gonna tell you about our intensive later. Just wanted to do a real pitch for that during our second segment.
Yes.
All right. So we have two more. Oh, I just smacked my lips like I was serious about something. Okay. So our next one is fun. This really is my favorite segment, putting myself in her shoes. And it could be her, his, their shoes. We try our best to discuss current events, maybe pose a trending topic or scenario, something that would just get us talking about a little bit. And I just want to get a little ratchet with this conversation, just
Let's
a little bit.
go. I'm all for the ratchet. Yes.
Yeah, just a little bit. So, and we want y'all to put yourself in her, his, their shoes when we're talking. What would you do? And so my large looming question is, if you had it like you really wanted it, would you flaunt it? And how much of it would you flaunt? All right. And maybe you got it like you want it. And then the question is, do you flaunt it or would you flaunt it? And how much
Okay.
of it would you flaunt? Okay. Let me give you some preface. So,
Okay.
so I'm watching the BET Awards a few weeks ago,
Yeah.
and I'm all about women's empowerment. I'm like, shake that thing, Beyonce, shake that thing, like do your thing. Show me how to shake that thing. I've been in some
Right.
shake that thing classes. Show me,
Yes.
show me how to shake that thing. I have to be honest with you. At some point, my age, so I just turned the big 50. I don't know if it's my age or if it's just my disposition. I don't
Yeah.
know if it's the Jesus in me. I don't know what it is,
Yeah.
but it was too much titties and tail for me at the
Got
BET
it.
Awards.
Yeah.
So much so that every woman that was, I was like, okay, all right, her too. Okay, her too, her too. And then Victoria Monet came out in her baggy stuff. And I was like, yes, finally somebody is like, we gonna rock this thing. And then the second song she said, okay, I'm
Uh-huh.
taking it off too.
Taking
I
it
was like,
off. Right.
okay, everybody gonna take it off and everybody gonna do it.
Uh-huh.
So I'm still like in my world, I'm still like, do you, boo? Like,
Uh-huh.
whatever works for you, but just wondering if I were in the physical shape
Uh-huh.
that I could show it like they do,
Yes.
would I, in the
Uh-huh.
spirit of freedom of expression? So,
Uh-huh.
if you were in their shoes, Shavon Carter, what would you do?
So let me tell you, I'm gonna flaunt it a little bit now. I'm gonna
Uh
give you a
huh. Uh
little
huh.
flaunt, so
Hmm.
because my body is not exactly how I would want it, but it's enough so I might flaunt a
I
little bit.
seen a little flaunting over
You
there.
saw a
Yes,
little
ma'am.
flaunt,
Go
yes.
ahead.
When I went to an adult prom, I had my little leg out. The slit was a little high. So
Hmm.
it's like I would do that kind of stuff, or when I'm on vacation, oh, it's out. My everything is out. My breast, my butt. Oh, we are outside on vacation.
All of y'all are outside.
We're outside, but I think with when I'm my everyday life, if I'm just
Yeah.
hanging out on the weekend and stuff like that, I wouldn't flaunt it so much to it brings a whole lot of attention because that makes me uncomfortable.
Hmm.
So, but maybe a little tight jeans and a cute little top or something like that. But it wouldn't be to the point where you see my butt cheeks and my breast just sitting up and just like, hey, how you doing? So it wouldn't be to that degree
Hmm.
because I
Hmm.
think for me that would be too much. But I'm a flaunt a little something.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I got you. I got you. Yeah. I, I I figured, I thought we might be on just slightly different pages. Not in the we
Uh,
still in the same book, but we
right,
probably
right.
in different
Yeah.
chapters of this because we know each other. And so so I thought this would be fun to talk about
Yes.
because so I will say what both sides of this means to me. So one, I know that the more uncomfortable I am in my body, the more I
Mhm.
will hide, right?
Okay, got
I
it.
will just naturally, wear the cover ups and the coveralls and the
Uh-huh.
the loose shirts and the this and the that, just to feel like I am hiding inside of
Yeah.
something. And so you can't really see all the rips and the rolls and the this and the that, right?
Yeah.
Um, but when as I have begun losing a little weight
Yes.
and as I,
Yes.
I feel a little more comfortable.
Talk about it, sister. Yes.
So I will put on something that's more because the truth be told, I'm sure some women can amen this. Y'all better talk to me in the comments
Yes.
because in my closet I've got clothes that I can wear at my best when I'm
Uh-huh.
feeling my best and when I'm looking my best. I have some that just in case it's been a rough
Yeah.
season,
Yeah.
I got these clothes that when the extra pounds are there. So
Yeah.
so I have both. And so when I go on this side of the closet, I'm like, okay, I'm feeling really good about myself.
Yes.
Yes, so I've been a little outside for the summer. I have been just a
Good.
little bit.
Yeah. Yes.
Yes, but to answer the question, I'm sure it's not as much as, it's my little church girl flaunt where
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't really want to nor need to, if I've been down, you're gonna see something, or
Right.
I
Right.
don't need all of that.
Yeah.
And it really is, for me, it boils down to how good I feel about myself. I am not
Right.
looking for an amen from anybody, really.
Yeah.
But it's nice to get it from my husband.
Yeah.
But then I just want to feel like I feel good in my skin.
Yeah.
And I feel good in my clothes, whatever
Yeah.
that looks like.
Uh-huh.
Um, to answer the question more directly with this, I just could not um, go to the lengths that I've seen
Mhm.
them go.
Yeah.
I just thought, wow, this is a lot. It's a whole lot.
A lot. Yeah.
And it was just repetitive, like a whole
Yeah.
lot. It made me feel like nobody was trying to be original, like everybody had joined
Mm.
that bandwagon. It made me
Yeah.
miss India Ari and
Oh,
even like a
yeah.
Brandy or a Monica, because they really just didn't like take it all off, like,
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah.
So wait, because my mind is always thinking about stuff. So I remember being in college. So not only did I dance, but I was also in a modeling group.
Mhm,
And
mhm.
what's interesting about that is back then, oh, I was flaunting it all. So we always had in the fashion shows, we always had a lingerie scene. Yeah,
Listen,
I would wear the
you were
scantily
showing the
clad
college boys what
lingerie,
you were
right?
working with.
Exactly. And then you had some women who are more conservative, so they would have,
Mhm.
cover up a little bit more. But yeah, back then, honey, I didn't. Yeah,
That's so
I let
funny.
it
I would have had the silky robe on.
go. Right. Some people would like that, but I was like, I don't care. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's so funny. That 20 something, honey. I was just
Yes,
honey.
that is so funny. I
Yeah.
watching that BET Awards, I felt like an old woman. Hear me now. I was like, it's now and just go the extra mile was I didn't
Yeah.
know most of the songs either.
That
So
yeah, that too. Like, who is that? Who this baby? What's she
it is
saying? I don't know who that child is.
Oh, funny. Yeah, that was fun. That was fun. Thank you
Yeah.
for indulging me. I
Yes.
figured I'd get back to some current events because that's some fun with that. So
Yeah.
that was our third segment, y'all. We really want to know what would you do here? Like, what are you doing? Are
Yes.
all of your parts outside this summer? What you doing? What you working with? Talk to us, Real Women, Real Talk. We would love to hear from you. Um,
Yes.
and put it in the comments if you'd like. What a fun segment. What a fun
Yes, that
episode.
was fun.
So we are at our last segment of this episode, and we call this Spiritual Nugget. It's just an opportunity for us to share a word of wisdom, a reminder, a word of encouragement, just something, a thought that has come up for us either overall or during this episode. And so I'll start by asking you, Shavon, what have you thought about? Anything come up to up for you during this episode?
Yeah, what's coming up for me is do what works for you.
Mhm,
So we've been talking about whether you're competitive or a collaborator. We talk about flaunt it or you want to cover it up. Like really
mhm.
think about what works for you and do that unapologetically. So that's what I
Mhm.
would say.
So good, so good. And that courage that takes and
Mhm.
the depth of excavation and getting to know yourself that takes,
Yeah.
do that. Do that work to get real confident about who you are. And we can help you do that. Can I mention we can help you do that? In
Yeah,
addition
do it.
to in addition, I think this is a spiritual nugget. I don't care what y'all say. In addition to what we mentioned about the sister circles, we really want you to join us for our intensive that is coming up in November 22nd, 23rd, and 24th. We are going to take time out next week in the next episode and just talk all about the intensive.
Yeah.
So make sure that you are not just tuned in now, like, following, and sharing our episodes, but tune in next week because we really do have so much wonderful stuff in store. It is called the Win Her Circle, the road to capturing the gold. And we want to talk about what it means to have a winning spirit, no matter what you are facing, no matter what you are going through, that you are a winner and you are a part of this circle that we are creating, and we just invite you to it. So join us in Cambridge, Maryland. You find information at realwomenrock.org. You can go to the events tab to see all of our sister circles as well as the intensive. We would love to have you there.
Yes, we would.
Woo. So that is our spiritual nugget, y'all. We've had a good time. We hope y'all
We
have
have
had
a
a
good
good
time.
time.
Yes, we have. Yes, we
Listen,
have.
we have not just had a good time, we are a good time.
That too. Yes, we are. As you can tell, can't y'all
Yeah,
see?
you
Mhm.
see. So thank y'all for being with us. We can't wait to talk with you next week. Tell somebody about us. Bye bye.
Bye, y'all.